At this time also, I'd like to ask you to do a roll call.
John Westmoreland,
Here.
Richard Mullins, William Lamai,
Yeah.
Matt Corner,
Here.
Denise Shinholster, Paul Chapman,
Here.
Becky Smith,
Here.
Charles Westbury,
Yep.
Charles Cook, Robert Ray, Thomas Donaker,
Here.
John Harley,
Here.
George Slappy,
Here.
Randy Tom, Clifford Holmes, Preston Hawkins, Stephen Tinton, Jimmy Roberts, Francis Adams,
Yeah.
Frank Booth, Robert Ricker,
Here.
Bert Gibbons, Chuck O'Neill,
Here.
Lonnie Miley, Matt Rogers, Michael Bilderback,
Here.
John Howard, Richard Bazemore,
Here.
Melvin Lawrence,
Here. No, I'm sorry.
Ed Norris,
Here.
Melvin Walker, Barbara Williams, Alfredia Walker,
Here.
James Richardson,
Here.
James Corey,
Here.
Butch Hall,
Here.
Henry Cravey,
Here.
Lee Slade,
Here.
Nikki Cavero, James Colson, Billy Webster,
Here.
John Reed,
Here.
Terry Schwindler,
Here.
Ken Fowler, Shannon Hart, Johnny Branham, Joyce Mitchum, here, Jimmy Smith, Mark Dupree, Charles Brack, Marty Dominic,
Here.
C.L. Brooks, Jonathan Jackson, Phil Bentley,
Here.
Julie Seljag, Charles Sims, Travis Blackwell. Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Okay. At this time, I'd like to ask Paul Chapman if he would do our invitation for us. Does an excellent job. What's the need for practice? Paul?
We all can stand to practice. Our Heavenly Father, we just want to give you praise and thanks for another day and for your many blessings. I thank, Lord, of yesterday and the fact that we celebrated our veterans, and Lord, we thank you for all that have served. Lord, we pray for the Gary family tonight and the passing of Mr. Dan. We ask you, Lord, that you would be with them and strengthen and encourage them. Father, we thank you for the food that we've been provided tonight. We thank you, Lord, for its blessing to our body. Now help us, Lord, that we may make wise decisions for those whom we serve. We give you praise and thanks, for it's you who we want to serve most. In Christ Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Paul. Dan was a good man, good and good friend. Worked hard and did a good job. At this time, before we introduce our guest, I'd like to recognize Representative Doug Harden from Southern End House County. Thank you, Lord.
Thanks, sir.
And
Classic.
Alaska. And he got a lovely wife, living with him, but slipped out, I guess. So we've had to have him back tonight.
Thanks.
Always welcome. And I'd like to start at this table, if you got any guests. How about the neighbor? How about James, you got anybody might say behind? In the far back, anybody? Nobody at George's table? We have no guests tonight.
Tim Young, our city manager.
Tim Young, glad to have you, Tim. Look forward to getting you back. Okay, so I'll ask your staff, I'd like to ask Laura to do this if you would.
Happy to. So we actually have 4 new staff members. One is on assignment. She's over at Central Georgia Tech, Andrea Jones. Is now part of our workforce team. We also have Tyler Garrison. And Tyler is a special projects coordinator with Workforce. He's going to be, y'all heard about the grant that we received for Workforce to serve businesses and putting in 400 work-based learning opportunities. That's his job. We also have Kimberly Lowe, and Kimberly came to us from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation Crime Lab in Columbus. But she's from Middle Georgia by her background, so we're happy to have her. She's in our public administration department. And Daniel Robbins came to us, also in the public administration department, came to us straight from grad school in Athens. And I just wanted to take the opportunity to introduce you to them. You'll be seeing them out and about in the communities.
Good, let's give them a hand. Okay, we need to take care of some old business. I guess everybody has a copy of the minutes in the email to them, or mail to them. It was most of the annual meeting, I guess, wasn't it?
We have an announcement.
Yeah, I'm sorry, before we get started, we have an important announcement. I can turn it over to Robert O'Neill, one of our technology staffers here.
All right, well, as part of our initiative to develop new things for our local governments, new services, we'll be testing out capability to stream to YouTube tonight. So this meeting will be live on YouTube. Just wanted to make you all aware that we'll be recording and putting it online.
We're obligated to tell you. So we want to get that.
You're giving me a heads up. Oh, well. Good, thank you. Thank you, Rob. All right, as I was saying, we were at the last meeting, I guess, of the annual meeting, which was an excellent event. The weather was good, food was good. Who went up with the birthday cake? I know it got scattered around here. Yeah, it was good birthday cake. It was good. Laura took one of the home, I'm sure. Good. Okay. At this time, is there a motion to approve minutes of the October 8th meeting?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise, the minutes are approved. And now we'll get my friend Butch Hall to come up and talk to us about the budget audit and personnel committee. I'm gonna get all my stuff out of the way.
The budget audit and personnel committee met on October 29th. Draft FY 2015 audit and other matters. Report. FY 15 business commission received an unmodified opinion in the audit. This time, Mr. Evans from that Macklemore and Louisville County, and that's 2015.
All right, well, as we get the screen pulled down and everything situated, I'm Chris Edwards, and I'm from Middle Brooks. I'm here to share with you our audit results for the audit of the Louisville Regional Commission for June 30, 2015. I'll just say right off the bat that we had an excellent audit experience, one of the best ones I can recall at Middle Georgia RC in decades, and that's just a credit to the good staff that you had on hand here at the RC. Now, everybody was ready on time. Everything was ready as requested. Everybody we needed to see was here and available to us. We had an excellent audit experience. And I'm going to start out that way. I'll just wait on this. What you have in front of you should have this on your table. This is the CAFR. A CAFR is a comprehensive annual financial report. We're going to talk about that. So our objective today is to introduce to you the concept of the CAFR and what it is, review our audit results real quickly, and then a couple of recommendations you might want to mention for. As I said, this is a CAFR, and that is the fullest extent of financial reporting a government can give. Okay, some governments will limit their presentation to just basic financial statements and maybe a management's discussion and analysis. But the CAFR is the fullest extent of presentation, and it has an introductory section, which is not in the rest of the financial statements that are not cappers. A financial section, a statistical section, which is also not part of the non-cappers, and then it's an audit section. It is prepared by the finance office here, by Matt Garvin in the game, and they've done an excellent job in doing it. The introductory section itself, as you go through it, you get down the table of contents, you'll see that it has a transmittal letter, first and foremost, and that's the first item you'll come across. This is written by your finance department, and it is a narrative discussion of the regional commission. Those that are new to the council or maybe just need a kind of a refresher again, this is an excellent place to go learn about the RC, what it's doing, what programs it's administering, how well it's doing, with narrative discussion there, as well as some of the outlook that's ahead for the RC. You also see in here the certificate of achievement. Matt, how many is this now in a row? 21? 20? For the last 20 years, the Regional Commission has gotten successfully every year the certificate of achievement in excellence in financial reporting. That's given by the GFOA, the Government Finance Officers Association. Only 1% of all governments give it in North America. Not everybody who submits requests and application for it gets it. And what it is telling you is that the document that you're holding in your hands is meeting the highest bar of presentation and disclosure. That is the coup de grace financial statement presentation, as far as those that carry an auditor's opinion with it. So that's excellent that the RC's done it for 20 years. You also see in there, of course, the organizational chart, other information like your service delivery area, listing of council members and such as that. The financial section starts with the only page in here that really belongs to me, and that's the independent auditor's report. That's on page 16. And the letterhead and that independent auditor's report page really do, like I say on the slide, is give the who, what, where, and when about this audit and what it is I've been engaged to do. It explains the standards that I'm using and what the audit is and what it is not. The most important thing for you, though, of course, is on the opinion part of the report. That's going to be at the top of page 17. And we do have an unmodified opinion, and that's the highest opinion the CPA can give on financial statements. So please be able to do that. Also, you'll see on page 17 below the opinion paragraph, a new paragraph for this year, and it's only for this year. It's called the emphasis of matter. For those of you who may recall or are familiar with it in your other governments, this is the year where GASB 68, Government Accounting Standards Board, statement number 68 comes into effect. This is a huge thing, folks. This is where you have to drop onto your balance sheet, on your government-wide balance sheet, any net pension liability you may have. What I mean by that is you have a defined benefit plan, as with the Georgia Municipal Employees Benefit System. And your actuaries for the plan, they do their job. They say, okay, what workforce do you have in place? They do all the metrics on the age and compensation and the anticipated retirement date. They have assumptions on, what investment results will be, and they compute what your liability is going to be down the road. Okay? And then they discount that to today's dollars, and they say, well, what have you got in the bank? What is sitting up here at the benefit system of the state authority plan with your name on it? And if you're short, and just about everybody's short, so don't worry about that part, that's your net pension liability. Think of it as a nuclear bomb test, that if the RC just evaporated today and you had to liquidate all of your retirement obligations, you're short by some number. That's your net pension liability. So the thing you want to look at is, well, what is my net pension liability? One, we'll talk about that in a moment. And two, okay, under that nuclear option, can I fund it? And the short answer to that is here. Yes, of course you can. So don't get too uptight about the net pension liability, but GASB 68 is putting it in front of you now. It is an important thing. There are governments all across the country that have been, loathing this day when they had to report that. They've been reporting 10s, 20s, 50s, $100 million of, net position, net assets, and now they're having to apply on a net pension liability that's wiping them out. So it's a big deal. So that's why we have an emphasis of matter of opinion paragraph. Also here on page 19 is your MD&A, your management's discussion and analysis. This also is written by your finance department, and it is a more structured narrative of financial operations and results of the regional commission for the year ending June 30, 2015. I can't give an opinion on it because it has too many words. I work in the realm of numbers, but anytime you see a dollar sign in there, those are audited figures, so you can rely on that aspect of it. But it's one of the few places that you're going to see comparative information. With governmental financial statements, so many funds, it's just impossible to have a this year, last year presentation for everything that's in the report. It'd be never ending. So the MD&A is a good place to go see that kind of information. And now let's go ahead and look, if you don't mind, we'll flip to page 22. This is in the MD&A, and this is that analysis, two-year comparison of their statement of activities. Think of that as your income. And you can see in that leftmost numerical column, about 2/3, half the way down, prior period adjustment. That's the effect of this GASB 68. And so we go back a year ago and we compute what the net pension liability was then. We put it on the books as though that had already been taken care of, and then we carry it forward just with current year operations and changes. So you can see here that a year ago, the net pension liability was almost $2 million. Okay? And as you come down to the end for this year, you see your net position ending. You're still in the positive, of course, $842,000. You're in good shape. And your fund balance, which we'll look at in a minute, is even better. But I want to draw your attention to the impact on a government-wide statement of what that GASB 68 does. And it's an important thing to look at. Okay, the basic financial statements, which begin on page 26, start with your statement of net position. Think of this as your overall balance sheet, let's say. And it presents all the assets and anything that resembles an asset, and all of the liabilities and anything that resembles a liability for the entire operations of the North Georgia Regional Commission. Some of the highlights that you'll see there is total current assets at $3.9, almost $4 million, total assets, total liabilities at $2.7, and net position of $842,000 that I mentioned a moment ago. $766,000 that's unrestricted, which means it's available to this body for policy and strategic planning, money you can spend. Okay? Likewise, on page 27 is the whole shoot and match in the form of revenues and expenses. Think of this as your overall income statement. And you can see here total expenditures, and that's in the leftmost column, numerical column on page 28. To operate the RC is $11,352,000. You have furnished services for local contractors, and then you have, of course, your federal and state award programs. We're talking about the aging and transportation and all those things of $11.2 million. So at the end of the day, the membership dues, which you see on there, are $599,000, which you have to be able to make the match to the federal programs. You can't get these federal programs if you don't match some amount to it somewhere along the way. That's what your local dollars are doing for you. That's a 21-to-1 leveraging of your local dollars. And so you're putting in jurisdiction dollars in the form of member dues and getting 21 outside jurisdiction dollars back. So that's a pretty good leveraging if you ask me. But those are your government-wide statements. Those are followed by your fund statements. And those begin on page, those begin on page 29. And this is where you're going to see your general fund. This is what most people are interested in, because from your perspective, this is where you're going to see the assets that are able to be spendable by you, what the liabilities are you got to deal with currently, and what your real fund balance is in the general fund. And you can see here that the general fund is reporting total assets of $2.5 million, of which 1.7 of it's in cash and investments. That's great. You've got total liabilities of just $226,000, so you have an unassigned fund balance of $2.2 million and nearly $2 million in cash. My point in mentioning that is from the perspective of liquidity, RC is in excellent shape, excellent shape. more than enough assets to deal with all the liabilities that you have, and leave you as the council quite a bit of fund balance that you can use for policy making and strategic planning. Okay? You're not burdened as some others are. I gave a presentation to another one this week, and they don't have this luxury. You have the ability to make strategic planning changes because you get the fund balance that will support it. That is a key point to me. You also will see on page 31 the same kind of information, but for your income and expenses, your revenues and expenditures. And if you go down that leftmost column that's captioned general for the general fund, you can see total revenues of $885,000. You come all the way down to the bottom, you'll see the net change in fund balance, $299,000. That's your net income in the general fund. Okay? Not all RC general funds even have a net income. It's very common to see a net deficit. It depends on the type of programs that you're administering, the choices you make in that regard. In the case of Middle Georgia RC, it's an excellent result. You can see in that same column where I showed $24,947 of transfers out to other funds. Other RCs had transfers out to other funds of $1.5 million. This having to be funded out of its general fund. So the way this RC is configured, which is a part and parcel to the programs it chooses to operate, and then good fiscal management, has got excellent results here. Any questions about the numbers, what we're talking about here on the revenues, expenses, or fund balances? You know, a lot of people have questions and concerns about targeted fund balance. How much fund balance is enough? And my personal opinion is, for an RC, you should have unassigned fund balance. And that's the number we were just talking about that was on the balance sheet. It should be at least 5% of your annual budget. Y'all are well above that. So you're in good shape fund balance wise. You have pay when paid clauses with your subcontractors, but there are still a lot of cash flow issues to be considered on. But having a healthy fund balance is critical to being able to administer the program successfully. The notes to the statements following here, you're going to see various things. I don't think we need to go over any one of them in particular, other than noting the retirement disclosures from that Dash 68 that I was talking to you about. And you can see that on page 50. And the note disclosure has been completely thrown out from what you've seen in the past and replaced with something that's 3 times longer. That's cool, right? We go from 2.5 pages to 5 or 6 pages in some cases. But here it gives a full description of what's going on through benefit plans. Okay? So that's something that you can focus in on. Where you want to see the real nitty-gritty, though, is in the required supplementary information, which is on page 59. This is the calculation of your net pension liability. Okay? I wanted to point this out to you and draw a focus on it because it is, without a doubt, the biggest change in the financial statements for the year. You can see here they've done away with the multiple year table, what percentage you were funded, it's called scheduled funding targets, and they replaced it with a more descriptive, more detailed this year only disclosure. So you would have to have multiple years audit reports to see the changes over time, but this way you can see the actual calculations. So as you go down, you can see how what contributions are and net changes in position. But if you go all the way to the bottom, near to the bottom, you'll see that net pension liability is $1.18 million. Okay, so that means that in your benefit plans, your retirement plans, if the nuclear option happened today, y'all are short that amount of money. You have more than that sitting in your fund balance. Okay, that's the takeaway. So everything's fine. I will say, when opportunities permit and are available to you to fund additionally toward this plan, you might consider doing that. Some governments are doing that if they can. Not everybody has that option. Okay, that's what we just covered there. And then in the back of the report is the statistical section where you see a lot of demographic information and 10 years of history for revenues and expenses. And you also, the back have your single audit section. That's where we cover testing and compliance and internal controls and all of those matters particularly regarding your federal award programs. This year, we tested Title 19 and your transportation program. Everything checked out perfectly. We had no findings. We had no significant deficiencies. So we had a very good result there. Already told you at the beginning that we had an excellent audit experience here. Everybody was well planned, well prepared, and able to get us what we needed when we needed it. The required officer communication letter that we disseminated out to you simply is to alert you that we had no disagreements with management. We had no audit adjustments that were not agreed to. And let me speak about audit adjustments for a minute. There's always going to be some adjustments that are anticipated. Maybe it's dealing with depreciation or something like that. What you're concerned with is, did your auditor find any adjustments out of an error, something that was wrong that had to be fixed by way of an audit adjustment? We had none of those. So from my standpoint, we had no audit adjustments. And we had no other disagreements or consultations. Always want to encourage this body to promote continual reviews of your internal control structure. Your controls are, we just heard there was new staff here. Your control structure changes all the time. So you need to take a once a year or periodic review of your controls and make sure they're still doing what you want them to do. And we have a couple of recommendations in there that's very small. Okay, I know y'all have a big agenda. I'm trying to not talk any longer than I need to. Any questions? Any answers?
I got a question. You said there was no problem. You're saying there's no findings.
No findings, that's right. No significant deficiencies, no material weaknesses, just a few minor internal.
Miller Edwards calls them findings. My bad. I said Miller Edwards calls them findings.
We had no findings. Okay. All right, got it. Got it. Any other questions? Yes, sir?
I noticed on page 139, you list the principal employers.
Yes, sir.
But you don't list any school system, which you would think would be one of the larger employers.
Well, Matt, I'm not sure where you pull that information.
I think there's some on there. That schedule sometimes is, we have to go with, what we can find and what we have. I do think that there are some works of education on there.
Benton County and Calhoun County are listed very high.
I just see Baldwin.
There's Benton County Board of Education, Houston County Board of Education, number 4 and 5 largest employers on page 139, maybe.
We can definitely, if anybody, if there's, especially anything in particular that's missing, we can certainly add it to there. Going with what we can find and the numbers we can find, that's kind of how that schedule is done.
Okay, good observation. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Well, thank you very much. I've enjoyed working with you. If you have any questions for me, Matt, Ralph, Laura, Grant, I'll tell you how to get there. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Evans. This chair, Budget Body, the personnel committee recommending acceptance of FY 15 audit approved resolution program.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation from the committee. No second necessary. All in favor of accepting the 2015 audit and authorize the staff to distribute the audit to all appropriate parties, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
Second item is budget audit personnel committee consider was proposed budget amendment number 1 of the FY 16 budget. The copy of the proposed amendment should be in your package. The total budget amendment is increasing $1,075,739 of the approved budget. The revenue side, additional local government contracts have been executed since the original budget. Regarding state revenues, several state contracts and finalized adjustments are required. Federal revenues and aging service contract has been finalized and adjustment is required. Additionally, new contracts for workforce development has been secured. Pass-through funds we received updated funding applications for aging services as well as coordinated transportation services. Regarding expenditures, adjustments proposed to account for changes in staffing level primarily associated with workforce training. In addition, adjustments were proposed to account for the changes in funding allocations for the aging services. Adjustments also proposed to account for additional expenditures in workforce programs. However, there is a corresponding increase in program revenues funding additional expenditures for the aging services and workforce programs. Mr. Chairman, from the audience, committee recommend adoption of budget for the month.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of the committee, no second is necessary. All in favor of approving the proposed budget amendment, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
That concludes the action item to be considered by the council. The committee also discussed the ongoing response to the Georgia Department of Audit and Accounting Audit of Regional Commission. Mr. Chairman, that includes the report, the budget audit, and personnel.
Thank you, Butch. And thank you to the committee for that hard work. And I also like to say, I never really appreciated what an unmodified opinion was until we got the banking business in Georgia and relate to this. And it's the highest opinion in all we can get. This business, for the word, the commission has got for 20 years. That's a lot to be said. I think we need to give the staff a hand for that. And I'd like to say, Chris, where did Chris go? There he is. He's out in my lawyer. Thank you for that 15-minute presentation. Should have took an hour. You were good at it. We appreciate it. Okay, we got a report now from the nominating committee. Mr. Chuck O'Neill. Give it to us.
Mr. Chairman, request Barry. The nominating committee met on November this month to select the slate of officers and executive members for consideration. The committee members include myself, Preston Hawkins, James Richardson, Shannon Hart, and George Stafford. All decisions were unanimous. 2016-2018, the officers of the Regional Commission that we recommend is Butch Hall, Chairman, Robert Ruckert, Vice Chairman, Dick Bazemore, Secretary, Shannon Hart, Treasurer. Do we want to vote on these officers separate as an executive meeting, or do we want to take them all at one time?
You do the slate if there's a motion.
Do I hear a motion to the floor, but do we do it as a whole slate, or do we want to look individually?
You're not voting on the nominations this evening, you're just reporting them.
Just reporting, okay.
Yes, sir.
I didn't think-
You'll vote in January.
Okay, with the disregard that, we got officers of the Regional Commission recommended, an executive committee for 2016 and 2018. Butch Hall, Chairman, Robert Ruckert, Vice Chairman, Dick Bazemore, Secretary, Richard Mullins, Baldwin County, Charlie Westbury, Crawford County, George Slappy, Houston County, Jimmy Roberts, Jones County, Chuck O'Neill, Macon, Bibb County, Gary Wilson, Monroe County, Melvin Walker, Peach County, Lee Slade, Pulaski County, Vita West, Putnam County, Shannon Hart, Twiggs County, Martin Dupree, Wilson County, and then our regional / ex officio slot, vacancy is pending receipt of state appointment. That's the recommendation from our next committee for this year.
Thank you, Chuck, and the members that nominated the committee for that report and that hard work. In accordance with our bylaws, the election will be held January 14th, open meeting. Okay, we need, let's call Matt to come on top. Let's do a report on the Department of Defense and the Great Song.
Good evening. Tonight we asked for authorization to submit an application to the Department of Defense Office of Economic Adjustment. You'll recall last year, Council authorized us putting in a regional application that has led to several projects, including the Regional Leadership Champions program that we launched, and 3 asset maps, including the freight and logistics study, which will be released the end of next week. We've been approached by the Department of Defense to put in an application for year 2 and year 3, building on what we did learn in year 1, with the hopes of trying to have something in place to have a seamless transition between years 1 and 2. Since we've done authorization for that first year, we thought it was important to come back and seek authorization for an application for years 2 and 3. We will be putting together the package of projects, building off of all of the information from the studies that we're doing now, and a continuation of the Regional Leadership Champions program. Happy to answer any questions anyone might have. We don't have a total figure yet. We're still working on that and trying to get some cost estimates in. And But it has been, I think, a good partnership between us and the Department of Defense, and they are extremely interested in continuing the relationship. So happy to answer any questions you might have, and would ask for a vote.
No questions? Is there a motion to approve the submission of the application to the Department of Defense?
So moved.
Have a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Likewise opposed? Motion carries.
Over the course of the last 2 years, from time to time, council has received a report or heard presentations about the Great Promise Partnership. Former DCA Commissioner Mike Beatty is sort of heading up that program for the state to establish programs across the state where you match at-risk youth who are students who are at risk of not graduating with an employer with real job opportunities where they're working. They're at school in the morning and they have a job in the afternoon, and they have to work, they have to go to school, and they must graduate. And we've been approached to partner with Great Promise Partnership for establishing a regional initiative and having all of our counties participate. It is something that the Workforce Development Board has included in their regional workforce plan. So we think it's very appropriate, but would ask for y'all's approval for us to enter into an agreement that says we're going to use the resources that we have through the Workforce Development Program to support those efforts with the Great Promise Partnership Program.
Any questions? That's a good program. I hope it does. Well, I know it's going to do well. Is there a motion to authorize the agreement with the Great Promise Partnership?
So moved.
Got a second? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, likewise. Motion carries. Cam, you come on up and talk to us about the application for the VDOT.
Yes, sir. Be glad to. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In your packet, you have a resolution allowing us to transmit an application to the Georgia DOT to apply for Section 5316 Job Access and Reverse Review funding to fund the mobility management project, which we have funded for about 4 years now here at the Regional Commission. This project allows us to undertake a number of transit-related tasks, including the development of a regional database of performance metrics for county transit and Department of Human Service transit programs in the region, develop a schedule of costs and other items, service days for the different transit systems here in the region, and host semi-annual meetings for stakeholders, transit stakeholders from around the region here at the Regional Commission, where we discuss pertinent issues affecting transit in the local communities and the region as a whole. At this time, if there are any questions, I'd be glad to answer them, but if not, I'd love, Mr. Chairman, if you could ask for a motion to allow us to submit this grant application.
Okay, no questions. You've heard the request to submit it to VDOT. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Got a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, likewise. So carried. Okay. And Daniel Cummings, come up and talk to us about the regional assessment makeover. Wow.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Council. As you recall from the September meeting, one of the actions taken by this board was to transmit the regional assessment as part of the regional plan process and also the stakeholder involvement program to the Department of Community Affairs. The planning folks up there have come back with some helpful suggestions, and so we've made the changes. But as the steering committee for that document, we'd like to come back to you to transmit the revised regional assessment and stakeholder involvement plan to that department. So there is a resolution in your package which references that action, and if you have any questions, so we'll be happy to answer that. And if not, I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Okay, no questions. You've heard your motion. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Likewise, motion carries. All right, next we have Grant Blanford, I believe. I'll let Brent talk to us about it. This is the ACE program. That's something good.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening. You may recall that you recently approved the Regional Commission to undertake and carry out a private for-pay aging services plan. We call it the Aging Sustainability Plan, where we provide services to eligible clients, the elderly, to help them expedite services in their home and do some case management, also provide meals and develop their own regimen of services through a series of customized and set in place plans. This also helps eliminate a very long waiting list by allowing those who can pay to pay. The state of Georgia is sanctioning this type of service model, and with your approval, we are now at the phase of implementation. One aspect of that is we are seeking your authorization to permit Ralph Nix, our executive director, to be the single signatory on individual contracts with clients for these services. The reason we're asking for this is, well, there are several reasons. One is to expedite the service to the customer. Once the client does sign the contract, there will be a pretty reasonable expectation for services to begin. A lot of folks are waiting a long time for these services. And the other is simply just administrative. We typically seek a dual signatures, one from our council chair and the other from our executive director on those contracts. However, that we do anticipate with the successful implementation of this program that we may have a lot of contracts. So it's just really to ease the administrative burden of having our chairman sign every one of them. They are templated, they do not change, so we'll have these contracts on file and available for review. So with that, we'd like your action.
Okay, you've heard the request from Rand. Is there a motion to approve it?
So moved.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All in favor, likewise. Motion carried. All right, and what you're gonna appreciate doing that too. Saving a lot of. All right, Rand, come on, talk to us about the Wounded Warrior Project.
Earlier this week, we had a visit from one of our state representatives, which is not unusual. We're always glad to have them in the house and talk with us about what's on their mind. And this is a little unusual for the Regional Commission because out of that conversation and meeting was a request that the Regional Commission provide hosting and support services for the Georgia Wounded Veterans Program. This is a relatively new thing. It is sanctioned by the VA at the federal level, and the Georgia Department of Veterans Services. They've asked us to co-host a meeting on December the 8th, which is a really short time frame for us, to talk about what they need to do. And they want to do a presentation, Representative Hardin, primarily to legislators and associated entities that will be asked to make a decision regarding some funding for renovating the Vinson and Russell building to provide these unique services that really aren't well provided anywhere in the state. It's my understanding that there's a huge number of people that need, wounded service members, that veterans that need this service, and they mostly are going to be dealing with the mental and psychological issues and ministering to their families. The Veterans Administration, federal level, has already appropriated a little over $6 million for this brick and mortar project, which is what they'll be doing, renovating those two buildings to provide those services. At this point, I think they're looking at about 57 beds, and there's some 33,000 veterans in the state of Georgia that have problems that need attention. So I said earlier, this is a little out of the norm for us. Our requests for services typically come through local governments, cities and counties, and entities that we sponsoring work with. So we feel strongly that this is something we can do to help them both host the meeting, invite attendees, and to provide some advertising kind of services and help them with the program. With that, I need to tell you also that we will not be lobbying for the program, consistent with state requirements. That's going to be up to some other folks. And with your permission, we would very much appreciate your authorization and endorsement for us to help those two entities provide this service, to get everybody in the room and see about that. We've also, with your permission, which hopefully you grant tonight, we will be looking at foundation options and possibilities to seek additional funds for that. And again, these are not operational funds. They have that covered. They will actually gain money by doing that through the services. So, Mr. Chairman, we request that be considered by the body and hopefully approved. Okay? Any questions I can answer?
I would just ask that y'all might include some of the leadership at Georgia Military College, some of the retired military generals and colonels over there. They've dealt with this, and I think they would be a good source of information with the process.
Would you post haste get me a list of those you want invited? We can take care of it.
If I could clarify, what we've been asked to do is to let the state representative use our facilities for their meeting, help them provide lunch, come up with a list of people who need to be in the room, that sort of thing.
You mean I do a good job with it?
Just the logistics. But I mean, our role is being limited to that at this point.
We don't anticipate a continuing role other than possibly looking for additional funds to help support those programs. Any other questions? Okay. Hearing none, is there a motion for the Regional Commission to assist and support the efforts of this project?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. Motion carries. Local assistance request. Come on, Sam.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The following local assistance requests have been received since the October meeting. Staff time is available to assist with each of these requests. For Baldwin County, the town of Danville, the city of Fort Valley, and Macon-Bibb County, preparation of roadside enhancement and beautification grant applications. A withdrawal request is forthcoming from Macon-Bibb. For Crawford County, assistance in applying for a recreational grant and creating a recreation master plan. For the town of Danville, preparation of a timber harvesting ordinance. For the city of Eatonly, preparation of a solar energy ordinance. For the city of Forsyth, preparation of a city computer monitoring policy. For the city of Jeffersonville, assistance in preparing the 2016 General Fund and Water Enterprise Fund budgets. For Jones County, assistance in recommending economic development planning ideas and collaborating with the city of Gray. For Macon-Bibb County, assistance in developing information plans and a comprehensive strategy for project partnership. For Peach County, assistance with developing a joint comprehensive plan update. For the city of Perry, preparation of a revitalization area strategy application, preparation of a recreational trails grant application, and development of a new website for the Perry Public Arts Commission. For Twiggs County, preparation of a One Georgia Equity Grant application, and for Wilkinson County, development of a nuisance ordinance. I'd also like to take a quick moment to recognize a few of our community successes over the past couple of months. Wilson & Company's freight and logistics study of the Middle Georgia region is now complete and will be released next week. Wilkinson County received a body-worn camera grant from the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and the city of Roberta received a COPS grant to hire a school resource officer. Sandra Carson, who works here in aging, received the AIRS certification, which is an intensive and difficult process signifying excellence in human services. And the state's new geographic information officer, Susan Miller, has now been on the job for 2 months. Her position is jointly funded by the Georgia Association of Regional Commissions and the U.S. Economic Development Administration. There's a key meeting in Atlanta next week with the Department of Community Affairs and state legislators to discuss future funding for that position. Susan is currently making the rounds around the state and is excited to visit us here in Middle Georgia very soon. Are there any questions about any of these local assistance requests or any of the other projects I mentioned? Seeing none, thank you for your time, and we'll ask for your favorable consideration of these requests. Thank you, Chairman.
Thanks, Sam. You can tell they've been busy. They got 2 pages of requests. You've heard the
good work they've done. We appreciate that Crawford County for our grant too, for that resource officer. Okay, you've heard the report. Any questions? If none, is there a motion to approve the request? Have a second.
Second.
So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, likewise. Motion carries. Brent Laffey, come up and talk to us on the status of the DHS. Yes, sir.
I'd like to take a quick moment to give you a briefing on one of our program areas, and that is our DHS Coordinated Transportation Services Division. As you know, we do provide rural transportation services for elderly, aging, blind and disabled ABD population in Service Region 6, which is the Middle Georgia RC Service Region. We do this as prime contractor for the Region 6 DHS office. It's based out of here in Macon. We have 2 transportation providers, and it is our job to manage their services, even down to the trips and the types of services and trips that they provide. We have been running a very successful effort this year. We did go to RFP earlier in the fiscal year and selected these 2 new providers. They're doing a good job. In fact, we're looking at almost doubling our trip rate, which is something we'd like to report to you as a success measure. One of the things that we'd like to do is increase our trips even more to provide services, these much needed services. For example, an elderly person needing to go to the doctor's office, maybe to the grocery store, to various places that they just don't have means to get to. One of the things that we're doing right now is we were approached by the Regional Transportation Office to help that office prepare a grant to increase and purchase more trips throughout Middle Georgia. So we just wanted to let you know that we're carrying on this program. We feel like we're growing the capacity of the program, and we felt like you deserve to know a status report. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer.
Okay, thank you, Brent. Good report. Okay, the annual GARC meeting.
I'd just like to give you a quick report to let you know that several key staff attended the annual training conference for the Georgia Association of Regional Commissions. As you know, the GARC is our annual association comprising all 12 regional commissions. Each year we meet in St. Simon's to have training within our staff. Also, we have our policy officials attend. We always invite each of you every year to attend. This past year was November 4th and 6th. We had sessions held by DCA on planning. We learned about the DRI, the new DRI rules, Plan First initiative. We had a GIS technology session tracked. As Daniel mentioned earlier, we introduced Susan Miller to the greater audience. We had an excellent discussion on rural health care and the trend of closing rural hospitals. That was by Gary Nelson of the Georgia Healthcare Foundation. He might be a speaker that we re-engage at some point in the future, because this is an issue that is affecting rural Georgia. We also had sessions on workforce and some general sessions where we heard from Christopher Nunn, who is the newly appointed Deputy Commissioner for DCA. I believe he is a distant relative of Sam Nunn. Is that right, Rob? So it's a very informative session. We do encourage you to think about next year's plans. It's always in November, that first week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So we'll brief you throughout the year. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Brent. Okay, Greg, come on and talk to us about the water planning and the NATO award.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. So in the midst of our many planning efforts that have been going on recently between our regional plan and many of us starting our local comprehensive plans, we've also been working with the Department of Natural Resources and specifically EPD on regional water plans for the rivers that flow through the Middle Georgia region. And so this is just to give the council an update of where that process has been going. And originally had a full presentation on it, didn't want to take up that much of your time. You can find some slides in your packets and some sitting up front if you're interested. But just to give a little bit of background, the water planning process really goes back to about 2004 when the General Assembly passed the statewide Water Management Planning Act to help Georgia communities realize that we needed to be engaging with water planning proactively. The example being, we don't want to end up like California is right now. We want to be well in advance of that. And so a series of regional water planning councils were developed, as well as a statewide water plan, with the goal of implementing wise water management practices for these communities. And so the planning process basically involves taking assessments that the folks that the DPD do, looking at forecasts of projected future use, taking in public comments, public participation, putting that all together in a plan that the council creates, and then is disseminated out to communities, to users of water, so that people know this is what has been planned for by the state. This is what we think is a good path moving forward, according to our local councils, who are made up of appointments from many of our own communities here. And the key element of this planning process is the idea of identifying where you're going to have gaps in future water usage, where you may have water quality issues, so that you can implement management practices to get you ahead of the curve and make sure that you're addressing the potential issues now, rather than looking 20, 30 years down the road and realizing, oh, we've got some serious problems here. So these water planning councils are divided up by regions based upon which river you are closest to, basically. In the Middle Georgia region, we actually have two water planning councils that are situated partially in the Middle Georgia region and partially in neighboring RCs. Those are the Middle Ocmulgee Water Planning Council and the Upper Oconee Water Planning Council. And there is a map in that handout showing which county is in which one, if you're interested in that. The water councils came up with their original plans in 2011, and currently the Middle Georgia Regional Commission has been assisting both of these two councils in their plans to update these regional water plans as they're required to do every 5 years. So some of the activities they've already done, they've already been talking some about the need for additional stakeholder engagement in these plans moving forward, the need to update some of these management practices and recommendations that were put out in the 2011 plans. And so over the next 12 months or so, you're going to see some updated resource assessments and forecasts coming out on the regional water plans, and some possible changes being made to the management practices that were recommended as well. This is where your input as local leaders, local elected officials becomes very important, because these are plans that hopefully will be implemented in some form or fashion with the goal of improving our water quality, improving our water supply over the long run throughout all of Middle Georgia. Just some examples of the types of management practices that they are promoting. Things such as encouraging conservation pricing for water usage, looking at ways to reuse water for non-drinking uses there, requiring car washes to recycle water, developing local community master plans for water usage, developing guidance for septic system planning and sewer system planning, as well as soil management and erosion management, and looking at stream buffer protection and all sorts of various ideas that these councils have come up with. And you can find a full list of those plans and management practices on each of the respective councils' websites there. But I would encourage each of you to take a chance to review those. The meeting notices are going to be posted there when those councils are meeting on the websites. And this should present an opportunity to become engaged in that, recognizing that a lot of what the water planning council is saying will have limited usefulness if it doesn't actually translate to our communities, and if we're not actually using that wise water planning when we're developing our own water and sewer systems. Of course, the biggest challenge always when developing water and sewer systems is finding funding to do that, and finding funding to make various improvements. This is sort of an advertisement here that there are some funding opportunities coming up available, most notable of those being the Community Development Block Grants, with the annual competition due on April 1 for those applications. We've got our applicants conference coming up within the next few weeks. So this is a great time if any of your communities are thinking about applying for a CDBG. We would love to assist you in any way possible on that. Likewise, there are grant opportunities and loan opportunities available through USDA as well as the Georgia Environmental Finance Authority, and we would love to be of assistance with those in any way possible. A few additional initiatives that I've noted in that handout there are the Water First and Plan First designations. And these are designations that are run by BCA, and they help with the management of those designations, but they both recognize exceptional community planning and exceptional water use planning, looking at the long term for these communities there. Jones County recently was designated as a Plan First community back in 2014. And so they've gotten some benefits coming out of that, such as a lower interest rate for their GFA loans when they decide to apply for those, and the ability to apply for CDBG grants every single year instead of having that waiting year 1 year after they're awarded one. So those are potential opportunities that your communities may be interested in looking at, and if so, we are always happy and available to help in any way with those. So any questions or anything I did not cover about our water plans? Ms. Webster.
Greg, did you get any feedback from the new Office of Information and Budgeting population projections?
What kind of feedback exactly?
That how is it that, for instance, Hancock County could go from 9,000 to 4,000 over the next 20 years or something like that?
Yeah, that feedback. Yes, actually, your fellow commissioner Alan Foster who was on our water council was noting some of those questions there for Putnam County. Yeah, that's something that we don't have the exact methodology of how they've calculated that. We can reach out to them and try to get some additional information on that, and I'll be sure to pass it along to you when we do find that out. That's something that those folks up there in Atlanta work their magic with the numbers, and it worked out how they think it will. Yeah, it's always a bit of guesswork in that sense either way. So, all right, I want to take just a few more moments here to talk about our NATO annual training conference that happened a couple weeks ago in New Orleans. Laura Mathis and I both attended that conference. There were a lot of very useful and informative sessions there about practices that are being done in other regional commissions all across the country, or our equivalent organizations, whatever they're called in the States. And we are very excited to announce that yet again, the Middle Georgia Regional Commission has been awarded several NATO Innovation Awards, one of which was awarded for our regional website service program. Many of you in the region have websites that have been produced with the assistance of the Middle Georgia Regional Commission. And that was something that Nick and our IT staff was recognized for their excellence in those lines. The Dannenberg Building Revitalization was recognized with a NATO Innovation Award for the physical redevelopment that's taken place in that space, as well as our Middle Georgia Digital Economy Project, which was going on through much of last year, being recognized with an innovation award as well. And Laura and I actually both got a chance to present. Laura presented on the website service program, and I was able to present on the Dannenberg project to other NATO members, and they were all very interested and intrigued by the good work that's being done here in Middle Georgia. So with that, I'll turn the floor back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Greg. Good report. This weekend at Titan Square Park will be the first ever Middle Georgia Maker Fair, and it will feature Spark Making. And I'd like Brent to tell me just a little bit about Spark Making. Did he leave? He thought it was good time. We can just let the Greg. But he mentioned it the other week about Spark Making. We was going to take a tour of it the other day, and never did. The agendas didn't work out. So he thought he could get out, didn't he?
Nope.
Come on, why don't you take just a moment and tell us about this weekend with the
Certainly.
Spark Making, if you would.
Absolutely. Sorry about that. I was actually sending a letter to email the DCA. This weekend we have the special honor of hosting the very first Maker Festival in Central Georgia, Macon especially. It's called Make In. It's very similar to the Atlanta Maker Fest, if you've heard of that. It was held in Decatur recently, a couple months ago. I've been talking to you recently, the last couple of months, about the Spark Macon initiative, which is Central Georgia's very first maker space. A maker space is like a gym for your mind. It combines technology-based resources like 3D printing with traditional crafts like woodworking. It integrates arts, artists, music. We have an electronics lab. We have a laser engraver, a very small CNC machine, which we hope to grow into, but they're very expensive. Basically, a lot of expensive tools that we hope and offer as a community. We hope a lot of different people from diverse backgrounds can get together and collaborate and make and have a place to successfully fail, if that makes sense. Prototype ideas, keep working. It's a movement that's growing not just in the nation, certainly in Georgia, but really an international movement as well. So, that being said, they have festivals that celebrate this whole maker movement. And I'm very proud to say that Macon, through the College Hill Alliance, help from Macon County, Mercer University, Spark Macon Makerspace, a lot of different players received a grant to put forth this festival this coming Saturday and Sunday. It's a two-day event. I think it's only $10 to attend. A lot of regional commission staff will be volunteering their time to help run events and do some logistics. To give you an idea of some of the venues, they'll have about 30 tents that will have different maker spaces, including Spark Macon, to show off their technology wares and their ideas. There'll be speakers on a national level. There'll be exhibits such as a 30-foot mechanical robot that breathes fire and is automated. So kids will love that. Safely breathes fire, that's right. Made from recycled airplane parts. There'll be a stunt area where they explain the technology behind Hollywood stunts. They'll have 3D printing and laser engraving examples where you can get hands-on if you can get in line in time. So we encourage you to come by and visit. We think it's going to be a big success. With College Hill sunsetting soon, there's been discussions about Spark Macon taking over this festival each year. So we hope for your support and encouragement in that regard. And please do drop by if you get a chance.
What are the hours?
It's going to be early morning. I believe it starts at 9. No, I'm sorry. It's 10 o'clock Saturday because 9 to 7. 10 to 6 and then 12 to 6. Okay. And I believe there's going to be, after the festival, a light up the town. Mayor, you may know more about this than me. It's a well, I think it's a illuminated bike ride where bicycles are going to have LED lights and illumination. And people, I know people at Spark Macon are coming down and making big hats that are illuminated. So it's going to be a nighttime sort of glow-in-the-dark fun time for all. So very family-friendly.
What is the date for this again?
This Saturday is Sunday, 14th and 15th.
What's the website?
The website you can go to is make, M-A-K-E, -E-N-D, make in, so make-in.com.
There's some little brochures.
Yeah, we should have some brochures up front.
They're out there.
They're in the back.
Just in case you think this is just for fun, it's actually tied to creating jobs as well. And if you are keeping up with the media, and Georgia's becoming a place where filmmakers are very active, and we're getting a lot of film all across the state. But if you heard him talk about the stunt folks, that's tied together. It's not without some design and creating those kind of skills in the area that motion picture producers, directors need and want available. So this is about interesting people in getting into those various professions and building sets. And
in fact, there's a film crew in Macon right now filming. The young guy who is the filmmaker went to Tatnall High School, and my wife works at Pineville Baptist Preschool. That's where he went as a young child. So he wanted to have a preschool scene in the movie, so they came and filmed. So yeah, just coincidentally.
We were in Brunswick last week, and we didn't know they were filming. We tried to get through town, and the streets were closed, and they had them all wound up, and there's all kind of things going on. There's a lot of money associated with those kinds of films.
Okay, thank you for that report, Brent. Certainly. And Brent mentioned this about 3 months ago, and I was watching CNN the other night with Mike Rowe, out in California. They have the same type of shops there. Everybody's seen the iPhone or smartphone, the little cubes on where you swipe your credit card. That was designed in this same type of shop. And they showed that program. I think he sold that project for several $billion, not $1 million. It started out as a small shop. And I'm excited about it. Sure am. And speaking of filming, we've got a local guy at home that's driving the paper every day. He just got hired by Walt Disney in their IT department. And they're looking for a lot more IT folks. You employees like to be okay. Thank you again, Brent. Okay, the regional sales tax informational session will be here December 10th. Thank you. If anybody needs to attend, I know some of the local people may have. Okay. Council appointments due the last day of the year, December 31st, and there will not be a meeting next month. Our next meeting will be January 14th. Is there any other announcements? What we got?